Over the past weekend, I was at AnimeCon UK 2023, and because I'm back now, it's finally time to catch up on some Witch from Mercury. So today, we are talking about episode number 20, titled The End of Hope. Before I get into my thoughts, though, I want to hear from you guys, so head on down to the comment section below and let me know what you thought of this episode if you've seen it, which you probably should have by now because it has been out 3 weeks. And while you're there, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're a fan of anime and Japanese gaming content and want to keep up with my coverage of Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. Grassley House prepare to move Sirius to their rendezvous location with the Space Assembly League, but Guel and Front Security arrive at the school intending to arrest Shaddiq. Norea, Nika and Alan are all freed from their confined room, and Norea immediately uses her Gundam to wreak havoc on Asticassia, seeking vengeance for the Spatians' assault on Earth. Guel and Shaddiq become locked in a duel in space, resulting in Shaddiq's defeat and Lauda learning the truth about what happened to his father. On the school side of things, many students are lost, including Petra, and eventually Norea right after she decides to leave everything behind with Alan. The episode ends with Soletta and Earthhouse trying their best to clear the rubble in the hope of finding any surviving students. So as you can probably tell from the title of this episode, it is certainly not a happy one. It is a very dark episode in which the school is practically destroyed and we see students being crushed under rubble, and we see their bodies. We see people kind of hanging out of the rubble, blood everywhere. We see the true effects on kids, really, because of the ongoings between Earth and space. It's a very emotionally draining episode, but also an incredibly exciting and epic one. I know I say this every week, but this might be the best episode of the series. In other words, Witch from Mercury just gets better every single episode. This is like episode 14, but like dialed up to 11. Where we have another attack on the school. This time there are a lot more people dying. There's just a constant barrage of like assault on the senses with the action, death, the emotion. It's just all there. The duel that I think all of us have wanted at some point in this series finally happens in this episode between Guel and Shaddiq. Fantastic. What a great duel, and it really shows like the progression of Guel's character, especially at the end where he says he basically hates him but he doesn't want him dead. Not saying that the Guel from like episode 1 would have straight up killed Shaddiq, but probably might have had a bit more of that mindset. He would have been a bit more aggressive, and let's face it, he probably would have lost the duel because he was incredibly arrogant. What I love most about this duel is that it's almost like the opposite of what it would have been had it happened in, say, episode 1 or very early on in the series. Everything that Shaddiq does in this episode concerning this fight and just the general aggression that he has and the desperation is what Guel probably would have had he dueled Shaddiq in like episode 1, episode 2 or episode 3. In many ways it shows the progression of Guel as a character and then shows the almost degression of Shaddiq as a character. Not in terms of like him changing throughout the series, but he kind of goes from someone that's very calculated to now just throwing everything that he has to maintain his plan. He's willing to sacrifice fellow students, throw comrades to the wayside just to get what he wants, which, let's face it, is not a whole lot different than the people he's opposing. The true MVP of this entire episode, in my opinion, has to be Norea, and just shout out to the voice actress, probably the best performance in a single episode of this entire series. Once again, like, this episode is episode 14, dialed up to 11, and the voice performance for Norea is Sophie's voice performance in episode 14, once again, dialed up to 11. You really feel the desperation, the anger, the emotion in every sentence that comes out of her, and you understand like the stuff that she's going through. You understand that as a character, despite the fact that she's committing horrible terrorist acts. While Sophie and Norea haven't been my favourite characters in the series, I think they are probably the best performed. Alan 5's arc also comes to a bit of a head in this episode as well, especially when it comes to his relationship with Norea and wanting to take her away from all of it, to leave everything behind and go out into the vastness of the universe searching for a life, searching for, something to be happy about. And even though both of these characters aren't necessarily the best of people, when you get to the end and Norea gets killed, it's tragic. It truly feels like a Shakespearean romance. And because of that, I also half expected Alan to die in this episode. I thought it was going to go into like a fit of rage, shooting out at everything, in the way that, he kind of activated all the gun volvers and they started shooting things. And then I thought it was going to be put down, and it'd be almost like this ending of Romeo and Juliet where both the lovers end up dying. All I can do really is just sing incredibly high praises for this episode. It does everything right, much like every single episode in this series has done. The emotion's there, the tragedy's there, the action's there, everything is dialed up to a high degree. Every single sense, emotion is on full display here. This is a utterly phenomenal episode, probably a perfect episode of anime in my opinion, and yeah, it might just be my favourite of the entire series. Before I do get out of here, here though, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're a fan of anime and Japanese game content. If you want to see more Witch from Mercury coverage in the future, like I said, we've got 2 episodes to catch up on before this week's episode. I'm going to try and do that before we get to that. And as you're probably aware, we're coming very close to the end of the series with only 2 episodes remaining to air. When it does finish, I'm still going to be talking about it. We'll be doing rankings, we'll be talking about characters, and there'll probably be a lot to discuss in terms of the end of this series as well, depending on how it goes. Above all else, I want to hear from you guys, so head on down to the comment section below and let me know what you thought of this episode if you've seen it. What was your favourite aspect of it? Was it the stuff with Guel versus Shaddiq, or the stuff with Norea in the school? As always, thank you so much for tuning into mchat today, and I'll see you all in the next video.